self-powered by our energetic vibration.
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
Monica, I really wanted you to highlight your wisdom and
Oh my
share it
goodness.
um, about the magic of what you see as energy. I know yesterday you mentioned some beautiful ways that are meaningful to you and how you express it, and I think it would be really valuable for the community that are here and also the ones that will watch this back at some future experience to listen to your wisdom.
Wow. So much pressure, Eric.
No pressure.
No,
It's
no,
an
just kidding.
invitation.
Just be
Just kidding.
yourself. Just be yourself and open
The wisdom. No,
it.
no. I'm joking. I'm joking. Pressure is
Before you start, though, I'm going to go to the bathroom because I got to go to the bathroom real quick. Speaking of energy.
okay. Yeah, there's the pressure.
We
Speaking of
have a we
pressure,
have a
not energy.
leakage. We have a leakage of energy in machine room. Somebody can check.
Speaking of pressure on the bladder, that's happening. That's funny. I love your background, Sigitas. That's really cool.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I thought that's
Very.
gonna say.
I don't know how to do that. You're gonna have to teach me how to do
I
that
can
for
I can
myself.
teach you. I can teach you. There's not so much to choose from, but or maybe it is actually. I have browsed only space and rockets.
Okay.
It's easy. You just go to apps. So in Zoom there is apps, and then background. Something
Okay.
choose.
And
Yeah.
in apps in Zoom, in my Zoom account?
Yeah.
I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever
Yeah. Yeah.
tried that.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is settings, there is general settings, and there is apps. And there you can just search for a background. Virtual background, I think it's called. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I've seen them in like during Tony events, they usually send you one that you could use and like the
Mhm.
virtual events. But yeah, didn't realize that you could be floating through
Oh, I would
space
love to
like
put
this.
my own. I would love to put my own, so I would create some.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course
I
you
hope it's
can. That's what I'm
possible. It
saying.
must.
You definitely can create your own. That's why I thought maybe it was your own. I thought it wasn't borrowed.
And I think it would be really valuable for the community that are here and also the ones that will. Sorry.
Oh, what's
It's
happening?
Eric's avatar.
This was this was this
Two
was
times
proof.
hearing
This
Aaron's
was
voice would be a little bit too much.
this was proof that time is not linear. We just went back in time. That's awesome.
How can I find to put my background?
I
Yeah,
myself
you
am
can.
only familiar with certain backgrounds to be changed in a different program, but that's just manipulating the video capture to be then used somewhere else.
I know
Like
for a
putting
fact that.
yourself in a picture frame or something.
I know friends of mine who have their own backgrounds. So I thought this was Zigita's artwork that's behind him. That's why I was so impressed.
No, I'm gonna put my the not like with GPT I created one. It seems like I'm moving somewhere.
All right.
So.
Well, that was quick. Eric, are you back or this was just your avatar and you're still in the bathroom?
I'm here. Let's rock it.
Okay, rocket. Good. Pun intended. All right. Okay, well, thank you guys. I mean, just to kind of summarize, I guess, what I do very quickly to give
Yeah,
it some
I was just gonna
context.
say maybe share a little bit about who you
Yeah,
are and what you're up to in the world.
yeah, exactly. What I've been doing for the past a couple of decades. So, you guys are probably very, very familiar with that with the entire concept of energy and everything that is a part of that. But for me, I've been teaching wellness and nutrition for the past 12, 13 years almost to corporate employees and to teachers and professors in universities. And we're talking about, nutrition, wellness, mindset, positive psychology. And I slowly started introducing the concept of energy because it's very confusing to people, shockingly. There's just so many definitions around it and behind it that it's just a big concept, and many people are just very confused about what it is, what it means, and how to even how to approach it. So I tried to introduce that slowly into my workshops, and I do like a 45-minute presentation. So I'm just gonna try to kind of condense it and just talk about basic points. And I made some notes to make sure that I touch upon the most important parts of it. And now it is my ambition and my hope and prayer to transition from working with corporate wellness and teachers and professors, who are the most difficult, I think, students. they they already know everything. It's hard to teach someone something and they already know everything. Um, Although I'm going into a different group that I think is equally fun, because I want to teach teenagers. So this is my new passion. I mean, it's always been my passion, but it's my new challenge. And I want to teach teenagers about energy, about mindset, about positive psychology. And it's funny because yesterday somebody said, "How are you going to teach teenagers who already know everything? They already know everything, so they think they know everything. So how are you going to teach them?" But I believe there's a lot of them out there that are seeking answers, and they're wanting to understand the world a little better that they live in. So that's kind of my passion. So just to start off with energy, what is energy, right? What do we call energy? So energy is a very loaded concept, can mean many different things. When we talk about, having a lot of energy or less energy, more energy, we talk about vitality, we talk about stamina. That's how we put label on how we feel. Also, sometimes we talk about energy in regards to, oh, that person has great energy, right? We don't know why, but we want to be around them because they have such powerful, amazing light aura around them, and you call that energy. And you're like, I want to be next to this person. I don't know why, but I just want to be next to that person. We also talk of energy as in science, we talk about nuclear and kinetic energy and chemical energy, and there's solar energy and wind energy, right? There's so many different ways to approach energy. We also think of energy when we think about food. So food, we are able to transform calories into energy. So we produce energy from what we consume. And what we consume is not only based on food, although the calories that we consume, the quality of the calories actually translates in the quality of the energy that we get from those calories. But we consume many other things, right? We consume the news, we consume other people's energies, we consume the environment around us. And that translates into energy, and that translates into what our energy is going to be like. We also speak of source energy, right? The big energy, the capital E, or some people call that universe, or some people call that God. So we all have so many different ways of looking at what energy means to us. So the truth is, our lives and everything we do in it is energy, right? It's a dance of conversion of energy from one form to another. You can look at it that way. And as you mentioned, Eric, yesterday, as Nikolai Tesla said, and I think that's very poignant and very on point when it comes to when we talk about energy, when it comes to the meaning of it. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. That's the truth. That's really, truly what it is. Energy is absolutely everything around us, and energy is frequency. And frequency is everything that we are and everything around us. That's frequency. We are not just physical beings living in physical world. We are made up of energy and exist in the universe where everything is vibrating energy. And that's really hard for some people to kind of grasp. As a matter of fact, I was recently asked by my African counterparts, where I'm organizing a youth event that the guys know about, not to use the word energy because they equate it, like, when you do your workshop, can you please not talk about energy? I'm like, what? I can't. It's everything. Energy is everything. They equate it with dark energy. They equate it with something voodoo and something dangerous and something scary. So it's very, tricky to kind of navigate all the different ways that we perceive energy. So as humans, we have the ability to send and receive energy. We are energy in its essence. And what's difficult for us as humans is to figure out how to live as not physical beings, but energetic beings that are made up of energy and live in a universe that everything is vibrating energy. That's the challenge, because it doesn't only stop with the fact that everything is made out of energy. That phone, my glasses, my shirt, my cells, everything is energy. But your thoughts are energy, your feelings, your words, it's all energy. So every word you speak, every action you take, from the simplest task like breathing or walking or eating, to the complexities of your emotions and thoughts and feelings, that's all requires energy. Some of us call it life force energy, or I am also a Reiki master, so some people call it Reiki, some people call it chi. There's so many different ways to call it, but it's all the same thing. It's just basically life force energy. And we have to be aware. Oops, sorry, you guys, are you still there? Because I had a call come in. Yeah, okay, good.
Yes.
So when you take these emotions and these thoughts, you realize that they can be either positive or negative, and they carry their own energetic frequency. So your thought, a negative thought, will carry negative energetic frequency. So if you're sending signals to the universe about yourself, saying, okay, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not, then that's exactly the kind of frequency and energy that's going to come back to you, and that's what you're going to know about yourself, and that's good. There's going to be more of it in your life. So you can think of yourself kind of like a transmitter of energy. So the signals that you put out into the world, into the universe, about yourself, and those can either repel or attract other energetic beings, other energetic events, experiences. Basically, once you realize that you are the master of your energetic vibrations and you have the ability to influence that and control that, you can unlock a world of endless potential. You can do anything you want at that point, because you will realize that your vibrations and your frequency matches what the universe will send your way. So another way of looking at it is, if you have a thought, you can take that thought and you can either spin it up and make it a positive. So you can think of yourself, oh, I'm not worthy of love, right? Not worthy of love because somebody just broke up with me and I am impatient and I snore, and whatever else that might be in your mind why you're not worthy of love. And you can bring yourself to that place where you will absolutely not find love, because you will transmit or emit the energy of not being worthy. But if you take that same thought and say, okay, I'm not worthy of love, wait a minute, but I am a being of God. I'm a being of light. I'm a being of energy. I was put on here for a reason. I was one of however many trillion sperm that got to the egg and that was born. And I was chosen, and I'm special, and I'm absolutely worthy of love. That way you are vibrating at a much higher frequency, and that will meet with the universal frequency of love, and you will experience love. So those are the kind of ways that you can approach energy, and you can harness and master your own energy in that way. I think many people don't realize how incredibly powerful we are. We are so much more powerful than we ever even imagined. So in essence, the energy and vibration emitted by your thoughts almost act like a magnet, like magnets attracting and manifesting the essence of what you focus on. Because I'm sure you've heard this before, where focus goes, energy flows, right? Focus goes, energy flows. What you focus on, that's where your energy is going. And what that really means is that as you see the world, so it is. If you see the world as a beautiful, amazing place full of possibility and potential, that's exactly what it's going to be. That's exactly how you're going to experience life. But if you see it as a dangerous place where everything is horrible and there's just no opportunity for anyone, then that's exactly how it's going to manifest in your life. So it is really up to you. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about energy, that it is something that you can control and harness within yourself. So every talk I ever do, I always end with this sentence because it is a guiding light for me. And that is, be responsible for the energy you share with the world. So that's, in a nutshell, a very quick way of explaining how I see energy.
And you want to teach this to teenagers?
Yes.
And you want to teach
been.
them to master their energy, right?
Yes. Yes. And I have been able to do it in a few settings already, but I would like to do that on a global scale.
And how how many teenagers are interested? How do you attract them?
How do you attract them to listen about this? Because they're realizing right now, a lot of teenagers. I mean, I've been working with the Global Youth Leadership Summit, so those are pretty special teenagers. They're very aware, and they're very, I believe, like, awakened and elevated. So they are very interested in the power of in the power that they hold within themselves. And many of them are realizing that many of them want to have impact. They want to be part of community. Those are the needs that they've expressed to me when I was mentoring them. And they want to realize that they're their own source of energy. They can be their own source of potential, of power. They can tap into themselves to find all of that. So this is what my course teaches. It teaches that you have the power to control your own life and to make it whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I agree with your course, with what you're saying, but around me there are not those special teenagers. They're just the regular teenagers, and I think sometimes it's difficult to get them to be interested in, maybe because it's the term energy. They think it is like they're having difficulty grasping the benefits for them.
Yes, I was thinking of that as well, because I feel like a lot of teenagers, we almost need a hook to get them to understand how this translates into their own life. And I had multiple conversations with people who are trying to kind of figure that same topic out. And I feel like for young men, for teenage boys, I think they want to harness the ability to have power. They are very interested in power, and energy is power. So if you dangle the carrot of power in front of a young boy, he'll be like, wait a minute, I want to be powerful. I want to be powerful. I want to know how I can tap into that from my own being. What is this thing that you talk about that will allow me to have power? And for women, for girls, I think the goal is love. So then for women, the dangling carrot would be, how do you find love? And love for them is often outside of themselves. They look for love outside of themselves. But then through energy, we teach them that love is within them, and that love, the love that they are truly seeking, is self-love. So I think when you make them understand these two concepts, and I understand and agree with you, there are severe differences between how women and men perceive value, and especially teenagers. I feel like we can definitely get them interested and involved, and especially show them that once they put in a little bit of effort and work, they don't have to rely on anyone but themselves for anything they want, anything they
true.
want to
True.
achieve.
Is self-love
Yeah.
I would even say is self-love power.
It is, absolutely. 100%. It's just that you almost have to package it differently for the two groups, even though it's all the same thing, right? It's all energy. Love is energy, power is energy. But so we would package it differently for the slightly, just to, to get them to listen.
So maybe
Yeah.
highlighting uniqueness of what you mean by power would be valuable for anybody listening, because I think some people can hear power and they may not understand it completely. If you can express that, it would be really amazing.
Yeah.
Sure. So the power, as I tried to explain earlier, the power to have full influence and full control over what your life will become. And also for young teenagers, especially men, they want to have physical power. They understand that physical power equates um, world power for themselves. They feel physically powerful, then they feel mentally powerful. So also incorporating the fact that there is, physiology, there is mental power, there's physical power, and there is spiritual power. And all those three, they can all tap into themselves. So those are the three powers that I would kind of package for them as something that they can tap into if they understand the power of their own energy and how they can influence the energetic vibration and frequency within themselves.
Maybe you can also frame it like because they're teenagers and they are somewhat, what do you say? They're still, they have to depend on their parents and other adults. And if you
Right.
explain to them that this is the way to get them to get control of their own lives, I think they're very eager to want to do that
Yes.
because they're teenagers. They want to have the control of their lives because and on so many levels they are dependent, even though they think they're very independent and mature already.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
So
I think it's a good thing. Every child has to learn this, I think. Yeah. The
I,
earlier
I
the
would
better.
I would
Also,
like to also go ahead.
okay. Helenita, you were saying about, that you don't have so many teenagers around that are more aware. That's also your projection. That's, something that is limiting belief, where, like, as Monica said, you can spin off
Sure.
and you're going to
Sure.
attract teenagers, which is going to be maybe the same teenagers, but with a different energy already. You can think about them as a being very positive and already, like all of that. So this is the power of focus, I guess, what Monica was saying, like where we put our focus. And if we're able to shift that, once we become aware about thought inside, we can switch it and shoot it through the roof and like ignore the past facts that we think is facts, because the past is not true anyways.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing, Sikitas.
I would also
I think
like
you're
to
right.
I would also
I'm
like
going
to
to
add
try that.
is
I love
to
it.
also paying attention to the youth. So versus thinking that we are their guides, empowering and recognizing that they may be ours, because they
Absolutely.
come here already realized. And the distinction is that what I'm hearing is, from your perspective, that you believe that you are here to influence them, when the opposite is true.
Very true.
We are here to listen to them and to observe and create a reality based off of their realization, so that they can step into their dreams and live them and embody them. And so here's a big unique difference in the way that our predecessors tried to incorporate a way that we need to create some sort of box for them to fit in, where there are no boxes.
Maybe
Exactly.
even calling them youth, it's already putting in the box and in the youth box. I think,
Beautiful.
how about we call them indigos or whatever, whatever is that generation is.
I
Then
love
it's
it.
kind of
That's a good
immediately
idea. That's a
I
great
mean, if
idea.
you listen today, to the interview that I had with Chaya, she's 13 years old, and there is massive wisdom coming through her. Massive.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it may not be she may not also even in the words that but the way that she's saying things, in her physiology, in her focus, in her eyes, in the way that she's communicating, that is 93% way more creative and present
93.
in the words that she's saying.
Mm-hmm. And they are much closer connected to the source. They're, like we always say, children are very pure. They haven't had the conditioning, they haven't had the layers of living on the earth, and just all this falsehood on top of them. So oftentimes they are much more pure and much closer connected to the source and to the source energy. So I agree 100% that they can be our teachers so much more than we can, oftentimes that we can be their teachers, but we can learn from one another, right? That's the most beautiful
Always.
thing.
Always.
Um, from what Elenita was saying about uh, more people in the area being more challenging, or like the perceived difficulty or of the message going through or something, I would that perhaps phrase that as people who are currently grounded in their thinking or rational thinking mostly, and us people who have seen the light, as it were, or have opened up more and more to the energies around us, and have seen the power of that and the value it has for both us ourselves and the people around us. Uh, it's then the challenge uh, in that sense to find what is it that can bring somebody that has not yet seen the connection to energy to see that connection. Because once you see one way to connect energy in your life, you can very quickly see all the different things also fall into place, and
Yes.
things start easily connecting with each other. So it's you were, as you were saying, it's you phrased it in a couple different ways. That's generalizing a bit, but that's to easily convey the message, of course. But to put it in the perspective of this group more, it's be the light that shows the path to find your own energy, and from that, it's it's up to you what you do with it.
Yes. Very true. Yes, just guiding them to harness their own power, because many of them feel very powerless.
I think it's
Um,
also like serving, like to have a like internal mentality that is, we are here to serve them, and they are younger versions of us.
yes. They're taking over, and they're going to be running the earth. It's important. I the reason why I want to work with that group is because they are the future. They are truly going to be uh, the soldiers that are going to take this earth to a different plane, and a different realm. And I feel like they're so much more open and so much more even malleable than the group of people that I was working with, with professors and teachers in schools and corporate employees. It's much harder to get that group of people to influence the evolution of the world, where teens, or that group, kids and teen, I personally believe that there's a sweet spot for knowledge, and that's between 13 and 19. That's why teens is such a beautiful group, because it's all the teen. Even though we're going to be calling them indigos from now on, Sagidas, but that
You're welcome.
but that group seems to me like an incredible area where they are seeking. They're so open, and they really want to gulp up knowledge and understanding of things, and they're not set in their ways. So I think it's easier to reach them there, and easier to teach them, easier to reach them, and easier for them to teach us because they're still connected to the source.
So this is actually beautiful example of what is currently happening in just the call that Sagitas and I had prior to this. I was on a call, and the way that the old paradigm of business is operating at is in this need to project their power onto us. And it's fascinating because when things are malleable, as you say, and finding a solution in say in ways of coming down, sitting down, recognizing the situation, and stepping up to the paradigm of creating harmony, people choose to follow a construct of saying, "Hey, you signed an agreement, or this is the way it is, and this is and they want to sit in that level of conviction. And to me, that's fascinating because I find that those people, they're stuck in their ways or they're not willing to listen. But what they don't understand is that there's always another option. There's always a solution if we choose. And so, we just needed to roll up a business and say, it's okay. You guys don't want to play in a game of harmony. We'll play in a game of understanding that, hey, we know what we can do, and we can play from this place as well. So it's fascinating to me that the old paradigm still chooses to operate from the old paradigm. But what they don't understand is that the new paradigm, we are here to take care of each other. So we can play in all of these different dimensions. But what we won't do is we won't fucking tolerate this old bullshit egoic behavior. And we just strategize in a way more enhanced way. And this is why I always say teamwork makes the dream work, because from that place, there is nothing that can touch us because we're playing an infinite game.
Brother, this is something just comes from me now, hearing you, and I know more context about the call we had. But that would be a very valuable education piece for a younger generation, how to navigate between those old sitting energies that's been there, loaded with all kind of lawyers language that nobody can understand, and entrepreneurial language that they can manipulate and lure others in. So how to set up the structure of organizations, how to play the game, that if this kind of attack arises, you can take strategic action towards, unexpected old paradigm operators.
Let's do it. This is such an important part, because what people don't understand is that when we create entities, these entities can represent us as a key component of being the chess player, not the chess piece. And when we start recognizing that we are the players, not the piece, in fact, we can actually even observe the player of the piece and be the observer. Then we start to really become a great strategic influence and developer of the future, because now we're moving in harmony of making sure that, okay, I am here in the physical space experiencing what I need to do and writing the emails and guiding and supporting, but then I'm also observing it all. And what we can do that by ensuring that different entities or LPs are built and created. And then from this place, we're able to navigate around the planet with different international agreements so that people cannot attack the person. They cannot attack the individual. They cannot challenge the person. And if something ends up being out of alignment because of this old game where the state or the government or some sort of central dictator decides or wants to influence the behavior of the collective, we just say that agreement's done because it doesn't exist anymore, because that entity, that LP, is no longer part of us. We just let it go and we surrendered. And then we still operate in another different way. And those relationships will show to be true based off of how those agreements or disagreements are nurtured. Because the real agreements are really for disagreements, right? And if
Right.
people are willing to sit down at the table and communicate with real conviction and truth and honor and dedication to the mission, not for their pocket, then they will see the bigger picture. But most people don't focus on that. They focus on the knowledge of what's being written in an agreement versus what's the wisdom that's being expressed and acted upon for a greater opportunity to work together. So I hope that clarifies and helps people make sense, at least from my map of the world, and how we choose to play.
Yeah, well, you'll be happy to learn, both of you, that that's exactly what Global Youth Leadership Summit is about, and that's what we're trying to propagate. That's what we're trying to propagate and multiply and create these things, a ripple effect around the world. So that's why I'm involved in the African Youth Leadership Summit to do exactly that, to teach leadership with leading with your heart, leading with empathy, and leading from a new paradigm perspective. And of course, it would be wonderful if you guys come up with your own spin on things and you want to come and teach at these events, then that would be incredible.
I would love to park the rocket over there.
Yeah, so
But you
I think
maybe you should also, because if I hear what you're saying, and I think it's fantastic that everybody is acting with the bigger picture in their head and not just their wallet or their economics or their own interests. But if you do that, it will have a ripple effect and it will grow. But also the counter forces will become stronger for a while. So you should also make them aware of that. And that's going to happen. And that's like a phase. And that phase will also pass.
So whenever there's a purposeful venture where there's a shared purpose and in times of adversity, things show up, what's important is actually to come closer together, not push each other away. And so
Yes.
This projection that I'm hearing of the counter force, this is only your projection versus an experience. I'm not hearing your experience of it. I'm hearing your projection of what you think will happen versus actually going through it. Am I correct in this, or have you had a different experience?
Well, it's my projection of my interpretation of what is happening in the world right now.
Okay, can you elaborate? Do you mind?
Yes, because I also see that a lot of people are more connected to each other. They seek more the connection. They start following their heart. They don't live according. They stop living according to the principles that were always standard. And in that, I think, especially in the Netherlands, I think that if a lot of people do that, they make the world a better place, and at the same time, the government is polarizing the society because they are feeling that they are losing their grip of world because there are a growing amount of people who don't want to live according to the old standards, the old paradigm. And they're trying to fight that, to hold on to what they are used to. And it's not that, I think it's a phase that will pass.
So what I'm hearing is that people are actually showing up in their heart, coming more together, and the old paradigm is falling. So there is this countermeasure that you have projected is actually an illusion that you're perceiving, because what's the reality of what's happening is more of us are coming together and strengthening on a global perspective, and
Yes.
we're not worrying about what the government or perceived strength is actually saying. There's a difference now where the governments are starting to listen to us. I mean, you can even, whether you like Donald Trump or not, he took on a Bitcoin standard because of the people, not because he had no idea about Bitcoin. So a lot of these things are going to start shifting in power of the people. And in first 72 hours that he was already president, he already started to shift the economic forces on a global way, and the responsibility of having communication with people like Zelensky. A lot of other things have shifted. So things like this are happening, but not because of government. They're happening because of the people and because of those of us that are leading from the heart. So it's important to really look at it at a global or world-centric perspective, because from that space, you'll tap into another perspective, which is the spirit-centric, which is the evolution of what we're actually here to do.
Can you go into that
Yeah, I
more,
understand.
Eric? What do you feel the spirit centric, what we're actually here to do? If you were to verbalize that, what would you say? What are we here actually to do? So that's
Yeah,
clear.
so Tony really created a beautiful quote. And the world is our playground. Love is our legacy. So Tony has had this awareness for about 48 years.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, he's probably had it way before that, since he was a little boy, but especially when the experience of his some gentleman came in and fed his family. So he's recognized something inside of him that helped him to want to create. And I know Tony, he's a big kid. We can all I mean, I've been able to see parts of that. And he's also a powerhouse. So he chooses to understand his depth, and he also chooses to step up and be a light. Now, people will get triggered by him because it's very difficult to face a mirror that's pure and clear. However, the gift that Tony has given for me is being a role model of possibility, of infinite possibilities. And so what that means is that we are here to cultivate the playground, to take care and make sure that we use the planet and we take care of it because like Kaya had said this morning, which was really beautiful, that the earth does not belong to us. We belong to her. So we need to take care of her in her infinite glory and support and honor this playground so that it's regenerative for the next generations. And by the way, this gift of our predecessors that have manipulated or chosen to walk around a patriarchal paradigm with without paying attention to the feminine nature of our true essence is something that a lot of our prophets have walked and said, hey, how can we actually walk around and enjoy this place of grace, take care of each other, harmonize, be the infrastructure? And we're seeing that this is the ultimate vision. I mean, our creator created us in the eyes of oneself. And the ancient wisdom is that we're ultimately here alone or all one. So if there's role models like Tony, who has been a gift in my life for my movement or for my energy, has given me the strength from a distance and close and wherever. And then others that I've also spent time with to harmonize or understand these indigenous teachings, because whether it's Sheikh Zayed, who spent time with the Bedouin tribes, or different Lakota tribes, or doesn't matter, the essence of relationship with oneself shows up in the way that we start to choose to operate in the world. And so this world is our playground, love is our legacy, and we can start building it so that we create heaven on earth, because heaven on earth is really in our hearts. And once we dabble and we operate from this heart's integrity and intention, then from that place we start to move with absolute resilience and certainty, because resilience is who we are. This is the growth curve of resilience I talk about. And it goes from really understanding the revival of one's consciousness, the expression or the ability to expose it so that the community or the common unity among us all starts to expand and work towards true harmony, because this is infinite level of intelligence. So again, to finalize my piece or what I want to share, the big and collective shared purpose is towards a prosperous, conscious, economic ecosystem that is really abundant in its nature and benevolent in everything that it is created, because that's our planet.
Well said.
Yes.
Couldn't agree more.
Oh, hey, Nick. Hi, sweetie.
Hey, bro,
Always
hey,
make
welcome.
me smile. Every
We
time I
talking
see his
about
face,
we
I
talking
just
about
smile.
light things, Nicholas here, you know.
Oh yeah, I've been here. I've been listening for a bit. Missing you guys. This is a good conversation.
Thank you for allowing me to share. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it was needed in that moment and time.
Of course.
Yeah.
I've told people a whole lot this past year in particular. This could be heaven on earth. And I haven't heard very many people say that same thing. Although I think a lot of us feel it. So yes, thank you.
Well,
And
the one. Sorry, go ahead. No,
No,
please.
I was just going to add that Nick and I are very passionate about creating, a chosen family compound where all of that can be possible on a community level first, and living together in that kind of in with that kind of consciousness, and then just allowing that to grow to the world.
This is extremely like there's a lot of places when I lived in Ibiza that also, when I lived in Spain and Ibiza on the north of the island, we were doing that. I created a place which was really harmonic, and we had like a big field. We were doing a lot of cool events, a lot of great people. So and this is actually one of the places in my life that helped me to integrate a lot of this meaning. And so there's a beautiful video I will send you on YouTube of expressing this, of when I was looking for support on a global level, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, talking about this regenerative paradigm. And most people thought I was nuts. Most people thought I was super crazy. And then I started realizing that, you know, a lot of people now, even like this morning, some people are like, hey, bro, you know, can we do this in Bali? Can we do this in Ibiza? And now you're saying, can we do this, you know, in, you know, I don't know where, but we can do this.
Somewhere warm with palm trees.
Yeah, so I mean, Ibiza for me has always been the anchor, and I feel like it's a very central node point. It's beautiful in the summertime, but it's also very private in the wintertime. And it's like it has this false sense of expression. It has this beautiful expression of, and by creating it in Europe, it becomes a very central point for a lot of communities around the world. So this is something that I keep sharing openly because it is one of my dreams.
Oh,
But it's
it is?
also because
We
yeah,
didn't.
because it's yeah, because I did it for 18 months, but I ran out of money.
Mm.
And I was really taking care of uh the community with the resources that I had. And it was something that made me feel it made me feel infinite. It made me feel like really the best because people were showing up and like the Hoff sisters came and other really super famous people came to help and they would just contribute their energy. They would give and give because I was holding the space. So a lot of meaningful people came to support me. I
So
didn't turn it
Eric,
into a business, but
we
it's
just
something that yeah.
you didn't turn it into something permanent because we just have to rethink the structure of it. But we are with you on this. We're gonna do it together. You know, I've been thinking this up for a few years now, and so has Nick and our entire community of Rise and Shine. This is one of our main points on our agenda to create a space like this, a healing place, a teaching place, you know, a holistic loving place where we can all truly be together and from there just, you know, have this incredibly powerful heart-centered effect on the world. So I love Ibiza, and I've collaborated with Six Senses. You probably know that place since it's in
Yes,
North.
I know them
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're pretty awesome too. But Ibiza is definitely a contender. If you feel that that's a good spot, we can start focusing on that. And I just recently connected with someone that I told Nick about. Her name is Sarah, and it is also her passion. She works with the UN here in New York, and it is also her passion to create something like this. And she already has a very creative idea for a structure of it and for how it would be sustained financially so you wouldn't ever run out of money. So maybe we need to talk to
Amazing.
her.
Let's bring her in. This is awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great idea. But to further around the topic that we are still going around for today, I have an observation and a question.
Please.
My observation is that which Elenita was saying was something originating from fear, a view of how other people react, or it's also a bit of wariness and staying vigilant. And the question is to you in particular, Eric, but anybody else can answer also. I'm very interested in how to approach this source of fear, or like you're aware of something, or have this urge inside of yourself, or perhaps it's shared with multiple people. How to deal with it, or how to approach it.
Does anybody want to go first, or I can answer?
No, go ahead.
So whenever there's fear, or whenever there's people showing up in that old paradigm of fear, I really, really, first of all, help people find that there's a way to create a solution right off the hop, right in the moment. Because that's where adversity shows up. And so in those moments of adversity and openness, because I don't wait till tomorrow or the next day to focus on the problem, I deal with it now, then, in that moment. And that creates so much solutions and certainty in the environment that I walk into. So whenever there's somebody that shows up with fear, it's like, what do you mean? What fear? What are you talking about? What, we can do this right now. What's the problem? Let's focus on it. Oh, but they get in their heads, and then when we're in our head, we're dead. So what I do is I personally move the energy by figuring out and getting more curious. By figuring out and getting more curious, we find another opportunity of creating the solution. Listen, in this agreement, this person could have said to me, hey, we're going to go after you for, $150,000. I could be in fear and say, oh my God, I'm going to or I could say, no, I'm going to close down the LP or the entity. And then you can't go after anything because you're choosing to operate from a place of fear. You're choosing to try to manipulate me versus having a true conversation. So if you want to play that game, there's no more entity. And now you have no other option. But now fear doesn't exist. It's only your illusion. You're trying to manipulate me, and I don't play that game. So it's gone. And now what game can they play? Right? And this is how we get to play now. This is how we start to figure out better solutions. So next time when this type of scenario comes up, they could choose a different mindset. They could say, hey, let's have a conversation. What's really the problem? What's the experience here? How can I move forward? And this is their lesson. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I mean, if I can add to that a little bit of how
Please.
I try to address fear with myself and with my clients and with my students, I always say that in the moment that when fear erupts and or when it comes up in your body, all you have to do is shift, like you said, shift the focus to gratitude, because gratitude and fear cannot exist in the same moment, in the same place, in the same mindset. So if you just shift over to gratitude and you start focusing on all the good and all the positives that are coming from the experience, from whatever you're living in that moment, there will be absence of fear. Fear cannot live in that moment.
Have you guys heard of the book by the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu about, I think it's The Art of Happiness or something like that? I'll share it with the group, but it's their takes on happiness after they've been through an incredible amount, and it's really amazing.
Okay.
I love
Good.
it. Please share it in the group so we can all read it.
For sure.
There's a
And then
really
to
great
put this perhaps in a more community scale, it's like it's an approach of coming from gratitude and then harmonizing from that energy with others.
Yes.
right
Well
because
So
said.
that more
Mm-hmm. That's it. And tapping into your own source of energy and power, knowing that you are made of the same energy as God is made out of as the source energy is made out of. You are that same energy. So you, in its own way, are your own God, which I know is a dangerous thing to say to people because people get afraid when you say things like that. But it's true. We have this much power within us.
Yep.
I studied some Tao Te Ching, and they encourage to say that I am God and play with that and don't feel the separation, So I would say I don't give a fuck what others says, like, and I would encourage to think everybody like this.
Good, good. I'm glad you said that because it's a very sensitive topic.
there's a beautiful
I do am aware about it. Yes.
there's a beautiful book called Choice, and it's focused on what true economics is, which is the study of human action, and
Uh-huh.
how we show up as the creators or God or through our actions. So we are constantly love in action or consciousness in action or God's in action. It's our decisions on how we choose to operate. And this book, Choice, I'm just like like 80 pages in, but already it's just something for me by Robert Murphy, a great book, and also emphasizes Ludwig von Mises, who's a great philosopher, but also emphasizes the importance of what is the study of economic science and how actions are really the greatest currency that we have. And this is what will define our lives, is our choice of how to operate, because we are consciously or unconsciously, depending on where you choose to operate from, creating the best story if we want to. So this heaven and earth that we all feel inside our hearts, it's now now that we know this, that we are operating consciousness manifesting itself in human form consistently, now it's a decision. How do we choose to build the infrastructure? What are the actions that we are taking so that we actually build heaven on earth?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Amen, brother.
yes, the belief of that is largely where this Rise and Shine community that Moni and Michelle and Rayhan and now Nick and Chris and I are making. Yeah, speaking of which, Moni, I don't know if you mentioned Rayhan will be able to hop on this call tomorrow morning. So it looks like we'll have me and Moni and Rayhan. Michelle's, I think she's busy and also in Africa. So I don't know where she is.
No,
Maybe
she's going to be on the
California?
plane coming to UPW.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, good. I didn't know that. Okay.
How do you start your Rise and
Um,
Shine meetings? Do you say rise and shine, baby? What is that?
That's awesome. I'm going to be in a car again, but I will be there.
yeah. So we can talk more about this. Yeah, Eric, like you mentioning the dream that you've had, and like you were doing, that's incredible. We obviously could really use you, and everyone could use you. And to me, like, it's a teamship, right? Of everyone falling in love with what they love to do and they believe that their purpose is, and coming together to work on that. See, Tony is like a bit of an anomaly of a person where he has gone broad and deep in all of these different categories, and he's bringing all this to us, and he's created this ripple, and it's this tidal wave, right? And it's not about creating our own tidal wave or going and doing our own thing. It's about all hopping on that together, people from different and various backgrounds with their own experiences falling in love with specific things, able to go super deep in the things that they love, all coming together to create this group of people, right? That is how our civilization is going to work going forward and survive, is a relationship together, all of us. And if we run this together like civilization should be ran, all as one community, then that's how it will work. And yeah, so let's piggyback
Let's
off
rise
of
and
what
shine.
you've done and learned. Let's rise and shine. Yeah.
That's it. So our tagline is awake, rise up, and shine your light.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect tagline that we can use for the Lighthouse community.
It is. That's why we're
Yes.
so in line with each other. That's why it's almost like we probably have to merge.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so inspiring, and it definitely gives so much hope and purpose. So yay.
Mhm.
I'm so grateful for you both. I'm so grateful for you all. And I just really thank you for seeing what we're here to do and choosing to consistently and consciously do it. This is a huge responsibility, and it's an ability to respond to a higher calling. And there's this beautiful saying, God doesn't qualify the called, he calls, or sorry, he doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called.
Yeah.
And I believe that this is a journey that for me, when I was a little boy, keep asking myself, why am I here? What's my reason of existence? This profound primary question that continued to navigate my internal world. It gave me so much trust in something greater to like really, and then really, even when a whole community or hundreds or thousands of people would limit me, I would choose to walk the other way and say, I'm not going to be limited. I'm going to find my way better. Because I don't believe that limitations exist. I believe that infinite intelligence is what it is. And I'm grateful because there's a lot of paradigms out there that I had to challenge personally in a lot of different communities around the world. And it was nice to say, no, I'm going to just stay in my center. I'm going to say with what I need to trust within myself. And then as a result, keep attracting all of you beautiful, amazing people into my life. So I'm just grateful for it. Thank you.
Same.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
grateful for all of you as well.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful for these calls because I learn a lot of it, and I get every time I get a more positive and broadener mindset because of it. So, and I think what you said, Eric, is like you had to challenge a lot of paradigms in your life. I think it's a good thing that children are taught now that it can be different, and so they don't have to have those challenges, but have a community around them that thinks that is like-minded.
Yes.
So it will grow then.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know how good that makes me feel? I can't even tell you how important what you just said is to me right now. Because today, to hear a 13-year-old girl, from the Middle East to talk about her freedom and her ability to see a really bright future and to express it with her face and her body and her passion. Growing up, I didn't get to see this. And to be able to sit there with her and just like really help her feel like she was just herself. And she's learned this from her parents and her grandparents. And this manipulated story of what the Middle East or these different doctrines is such bullshit. And I knew it was bullshit for such a long period of time. It's a story that mass media or propaganda chose to propagate. And we know better. We know better. And this man that sits in front of you, me right now, this man I've dreamed of becoming. And now I can hold that energy and I can express it with power and purpose and challenge the paradigms of people that create limitations for our children or our future children's. And I choose to be this like warrior in life of love, this warrior of love, this warrior of passion, because of somebody like Tony that really allowed me to express myself at all of these events with 110% and would just keep going and going and allow me, and I would just keep going louder and stronger. And now it's the time to also allow all the kids and the indigos to do that without them needing to push,
Yeah.
without them needing to be loud, but to really just create a space where they can get in peace.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yes.
that's it. To help, what if we could teach every kid and create a space where every kid could, just like you, become that person your highest self, that person that that you've always dreamt of being, that you truly were. What
Or
if we
not
could
even lose,
get that quicker?
or not even lose that connection with oneself, right? From the first place.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because they already know. They already know. And when they know, when I remember playing with my grandfather at 5 years old, and we would kick the soccer ball around. What I remember of my grandfather the most is his eyes. He would look me in the eye so deeply with such devotion and then such love. And now the most like precision in our communication now amongst one another is in one another's eyes. So I look at people's eyes all the time. And this is something that he passed on to me with strength. And when I was a little boy, this was a sense of power that I observed in him. And it's very prevalent or present in me all the time now. But these are the things that like I was challenged with by the external world or society telling me that you need to be a certain way instead of really trusting in that part that already was present in me at 5.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, which would mean that we need to start even earlier to make sure that that conditioning and all those, falsehoods are not layered on top of their purity and their essence.
Well,
Yes.
it's the environment, right? It's their
Mm-hmm.
environment that they're in most of the time.
Of course.
And they're observing behaviors, right? People are observing, especially, I mean, the more pure or come back to this essence, this purity, we observe more of the way people behave with one another than what they say to each other.
Of course.
This is why actions and behavior are everything.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Not words. Words don't matter. It's about the actions.
Mm-hmm. Going back to that book that you mentioned, which I already downloaded. Choice.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Great. This is great.
Nick,
Yeah.
you saw this? They're sending people to rescue or sending maybe more duct tape to ISS.
Oh, good. It needs so much more duct tape. So they're sending a group up to relieve the astronauts that have been stuck up there, right?
Yeah, I think 2 rockets went up with the 2 crews.
It's about time. Yeah, it's not a clean place, the ISS. It's interesting, although it doesn't smell very much because air and smell travels through water molecules and other air, and because there's no gravity, the air and molecules travel along the surface of the walls before just kind of going everywhere.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
it's
weird.
Yeah, like they don't actually get much of an appetite for food either when they're up there. They're expending so little energy, and they don't smell the food that they eat unless they're like right up against it. Because it's like water droplets up against a wall, right? It sticks. It's the surface tension of everything. It's weird stuff.
What is there to smell? What makes you say that it's smelly? Like that would be the last one I would think about, I guess.
So I mean, well,
how does the fart travel in the International Space
So
Station?
the thing is, you can park the fart somewhere. You can place it in the corner and it stays there.
Man, this topic totally shifted. That's funny. It'll stick to whatever. And I mean, think about it. If you like put ketchup or hot sauce or peanut butter or anything on anything else, some of it floats places. Yeah. And they use Velcro to stick bottles and things to surfaces so it stops moving. But the Velcro doesn't get replaced. So everything is it's quite dirty. They clean it a lot, but And then the human waste, they thought about just ejecting it into space, or letting it burn in the atmosphere, but there's a chance that it would catch the Earth's gravity and go around the Earth and be debris in the atmosphere that they're not tracking, and then come and blow up the ISS. So they, or other satellites, because at that speed, a grain of sand could destroy anything. So it's they keep it in these huge metal containers that are pressurized and filthy and extremely heavy. And at certain times, they will launch it back down into the atmosphere with a cargo return vehicle. And I'm pretty sure the whole vehicle guides it back into the atmosphere, and the whole thing burns up in the atmosphere. I'm pretty sure. It's incredibly wasteful. But anyways.
I love that you know that stuff. That's pretty awesome.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's
fun.
some pretty cool experiences.
What do you mean experiences? Have you been up there? What are you talking about?
No, at Axiom Space, that company that works with NASA. But I used to work there for a few years. Yeah, that's how I know. I was trained to be, the people in the mission control room saying, like, Houston, we have a problem, that sort of thing. I was trained to do that a little bit, technically certified in that, and that was really a fun experience. Yeah, a whole bunch of fun little things.
It's awesome. Now you can tell us about farts in space. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I helped them design the new toilet. So there's a lot of good, fun information there.
Hey man, talking about toilets, I really think we as community, we can create some better way of toilets for Burning Man, at least.
Yes, for the
there is a huge fucking problem. And like, I think as such creative community, I think you have a piece of that. I've been dreaming a lot about, like, what would be the natural toilet in the desert here, so we could come and enjoy like a piece of nature, and maybe not sit on the toilet but poop in the bush kind of situation, like to bring back to the reality. I don't know how, but it's something.
There are no bushes out there, so that would be a little tricky.
No, we would create a whole environment. What would be the natural toilet for us? The most natural we can achieve.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most difficult part of Burning Man.
Interesting question.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Then I'm sure Nick already has a million ideas, right, Nick?
No, not yet. We'll see.
Think about that.
Probably gonna come to you next time you sit on the toilet.
It will. It's the shower thought, the thoughts you have in the shower when you're not focused on something else, and you're just letting your mind wander. It just comes to you.
Yes. That's when it's gonna happen.
Yes. Back to the topic of this conversation.
Right. Sorry.
This is super exciting, and I can't wait to see how how all this turns out. It's going to be a blast of a journey.
Nick, are you going to be at UW as well?
Yes, Chris and I decided kind of last minute we will be there.
Yeah.
So I think, Monica, it'd be amazing to also introduce Nick to Kevin when you meet him.
Absolutely. Yeah, I already connected with Kevin. We didn't, outside of our chat. So cool. That way, so we can set up a space and time when we can meet. And of course, Nick has to be a part of it with Chris. They're my brothers for life now.
Yes. Yeah, Kevin's an amazing man. You will all, I mean, he's also like he's been around for 2 decades, so a great man.
Can I ask you a very quick technical question? So with the AYLS, African Youth Leadership Summit, the little glitch that I'm having right now is that we're working on creating proposals for companies for funding. And, you know, obviously we would love to collaborate with Tony's foundation and others. Do you feel like Kevin would be a good person to ask about guidance in that department?
Yep.
Does he? Yes. Okay. Great.
Yeah,
Because
and then he could also put you directly in contact with she's gonna be there. I forget her name, but she's in charge of GYLS and also a lot of the innovation
Anna?
that
Not Anna.
I forget her name, but
Okay.
but he will point you in whichever direction to get that happening,
Okay. Great. Can't wait.
or introduce you, and he'll do everything, especially based off of the fact that you know, it's coming from he knows my devotion as well, so the fact that you're also coming from directly from me, it's gonna be
This community of Lighthouse souls.
yeah.
All right. Great. That's great.
Amazing. That's so exciting.
Some logistics, you know, we just have to figure out some logistics. Everything else is already there. We just have to do it.
Yeah, and I think also with this other lady that you discussed about the space, we should have a meeting with her. It'd be great to figure out
Yes.
how we can do that and start harmonizing or using a place or a space or building one or designing one, whatever that looks like, or thoughts. There's so many beautiful already places there that we can just jump right into and then build off of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I second on that for sure. There's so many unused buildings already around the world that is building a new. It kind of feels already a waste.
Exactly. And Sigitas and Eric, the woman Sarah that I talked to, she already has, as I told Nick, she already has 4 committed locations. People who own land and all own buildings, own space, that would like to host and be a part of such a community. So, you know, that might be an opportunity right there.
We'll take all of them. Let's do a big tour around the world. And yeah.
That's it.
Love your passion, Nicola.
Virtual, in person, all of it.
I love it. I love it. All right.
Amazing.
That's great.
Thank you everybody for today. It was really meaningful. I feel very inspired and grateful. Till tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Have a beautiful day, everybody. Have a beautiful day.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.